Welcome back to another week of epic nuclear news. Let's dive into what is going on with this space. First up, price action. So, uranium mining stocks, particularly uranium mining junior stocks, are massively outperforming the stock market. Year to date, the URNJ, Sprott Junior Uranium Miners ETF, is up now 19%. The S&P 500 is up 9.69%. So uranium miners are starting to obviously massively outperform. They've been massively outperforming. If you look at the URNM Sprott Uranium Miners ETF over the last 5 years, up 300%, whereas the S&P 500 is up 79%. So why are these assets outperforming? Let's dive through what is going on with this space. Uranium stocks soar on bullish Goldman Sachs call. Kazakhstan flooding, right? So we talked a lot about how Kazakhstan, the world's largest uranium miner, is having issues with their supply, which is just making supply more and more constrained, above ground uranium more and more scarce. Well, this is a brand new bullish call by Goldman Sachs on Cameco. Goldman Sachs starts Cameco Corporation at buy with the price target of 55 US dollars. So what kind of a gain would we be looking at in Cameco if it hit $55? Remember, this is a big cap uranium miner. So obviously small caps tend to outperform the big caps. Well, right now Cameco is $49. So they think it's like a 10% upside move to $55. And it's already had a massive run, right? So my prediction at the start of the year was that junior miners would start to outperform, and they are. So they massively outperformed last year. Goldman Sachs sees a little more upside in large cap uranium miner Cameco, but just getting started with the junior caps, right? They haven't even hit their all-time highs. Let's just take a look at Paladin. One example, right? Paladin, smaller market cap asset, 4 billion Australian. But look, it's nowhere near its all-time high. So let's see if we can get a move like that. Let's dive through the fundamentals of the space. That's really what matters. The Sprott Physical Uranium Trust, year to date in 2024, has raised $92 million, used to stack 650,000 pounds of uranium, bringing its total physical uranium stack to 64 million pounds. Regulators say the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust can stack up to 9 million more pounds this year. So they're continuing to stack uranium, making it scarcer and scarcer. We know how in demand it is and how little there is above ground. We've been covering it in all our videos. Supply is getting scarcer while demand is picking up. So let's stay on top of exactly what is going on with demand. Sweden's largest wind farm faces bankruptcy. Who are the big competitors to uranium? It's renewable energy like solar, like wind. And as of now, solar and wind have not been able to cut it. They have pumped billions of dollars into this industry, these industries, and they have not been able to cut it. Sweden's largest wind farm faces bankruptcy. It's too intermittent, can't scale, because not every part of the world is like the California desert with massive amounts of sunshine. And there aren't many parts of the world that are like natural wind tunnels. And so the realistic option for green energy is nuclear. And look what's happening in the nuclear space. France sets to commission new nuclear power plants. So they're about to build a brand new nuclear power plant. New Jersey's 3 nuclear power plants seek to extend licenses for another 20 years. So again, each one of these headlines just accelerates up the demand for uranium. Massive. Saskatchewan expects $351 million from provincial carbon tax in 2024 to 2025. Part of it will go into an investment for quite likely nuclear reactors into the future so that we can replace some of our generation capacity. So government's pumping billions of dollars into nuclear. That's what we've been seeing. It really doesn't get bigger than that for the exponential increase in demand for uranium. UK plans fleet of 40 small nuclear reactors to meet energy needs. U.S. shale drillers seek to power oil patch with small nuclear reactors. We're just getting started. Small nuclear reactors are slated to power the entire world's economy. New Association for Maritime Nuclear created a global group of companies with a common interest in developing nuclear energy solutions for the maritime sector, have launched Nuclear Energy Maritime Organization, right? So yes, there's a supply crunch currently, but what a lot of these headlines speak to is the future supply crunch, the future demand for nuclear. And we're in the early stages of the mass adoption of this power, obviously. Indian Oil in talks with state nuclear firm for small reactors. Refiner looks to build SMRs for clean power use in refineries. Not only are fossil fuel mines going to be powered by SMRs, but so are the refineries. So are the shippers. AI demand for data centers is absurd as the next trade unfolds, right? So we have a huge demand for data centers, a huge demand for nuclear power. Around a third of the more than 8,000 data centers worldwide are in the United States, and electricity demand for these centers is expected to grow by around 10% a year by 2030. What are these data centers going to be using? It seems like nuclear power, uranium. Equinix signs deal to procure up to 500 megawatts of nuclear power from Oklo SMRs, making $25 million prepayment. Just one small example. This is a much bigger example. Microsoft and OpenAI plan to build a supercomputer together worth $115 billion called Stargate. One of the power source alternatives contemplated is obviously nuclear power. We've talked about how unreliable renewables are. So it appears the main power source for this $115 billion supercomputer is nuclear power, right? This is the future. Granholm, the Secretary of Energy in the US, eyes talks with big tech on AI power needs. Department of Energy is exploring how energy-hungry tech firms might be able to host small nuclear plants on their campuses of their massive data centers. We are just getting started in this space. Seems like this is going to be the story for the next few decades. And every week, we just accelerate to the upside for nuclear demand with nowhere near enough supply available to fill the gap.